From Nashville, Tennessee, the country music capital of the world, here's the 1101st consecutive performance of radio's oldest living broadcast, the Grand Ole Opry, tonight starring Hank Locklin. Please help me, I'm falling in love with you.
Hank Locklin's voice was, the only way you can say it, it was a great gift from God.
He was so unique. He was so pure. His voice was just so high and so rich and so emotional. He just had everything in his voice that a singer should have. Great range, great pitch.
Hank was known for always being able to deliver. He never let you down. He never had a shaky performance. He was as solid as you could get.
I don't know what he did to keep his voice in such great shape, but his voice stayed really high and very clear way up until the end of his life and career.
It's a big tenor. They don't last long. It sounds in his youth, it sounds like it's going to give out at any minute, and he sings to 91.
When I first heard him, I just thought his tone was so beautiful,
That's the best you could ask for as a singer, is to have a voice like that, a song like Please Help Me, I'm Falling, and Send Me the Pillow That You Dream On. Well, it don't get much better than that for singing and playing country music now, does it?
Please help me, I'm falling in love with you.
I first became aware of Hank probably at birth because my mother happened to be a huge Hank Locklin fan. Hank has always been there without even my early awareness of who Hank Locklin was and what he meant to country music.
Sometimes, I think we live in such a fast-paced world that you forget who was popular 2 years ago. So it's hard to imagine that, somebody that was born in, the early teens, it's still valuable.
Dad was born in McClellan, Florida, a small community in northwest Florida. It's a small, very rural community, very rural.
It really was in the wilds. There were no phones, not much of anything. It had been Hank Locklin and that hit record, Please Help Me, I'm Falling. I don't know whether they'd have phones down there yet.
But I'd heard him sing for a long time and knew that he was from around that area, that he lived close to where I grew up there. But we both lived out in the country, and he lived in one section over in the woods, and we lived in a different section.
His mother played piano at the church, which the little old church is still standing to this day. And Dad grew up in the church, and he grew up singing in the church.
I go to church with him, and I'd come back, and some of them I could whistle a tune, but I didn't know the words. Papa, he's a pretty good fiddle player back in the days before we had any children, And Mama played guitar. They'd have frolics. Now, frolic was, you had a house and you had a big room, and they'd play and they'd all dance,
His brothers and sisters all had a little bit of musical talent in them. Hub could play the guitar. Hattie Mae was a wonderful pianist, and his sister Daisy Lee was just a natural singer. But that was the beginnings of his music.
I see a complete parallel between the way Hank sings and his style of melody that coincides with the Holiness Church. I mean, it sounds like church to me.
In 1926, tragedy struck. He was run over by a school bus. The school buses weren't like the ones now. They were almost like a streetcar. They would have these bars on the outside, and you could almost run and hop one, and Dad tried to, and when he did, he lost his footing and wound up underneath it. That did lay him up in bed for about 10 months. During those 10 months is when he started learning how to play the guitar. And they had a radio, so he was listening to the Grand Ole Opry. They listened to it every Saturday night, and that was it. Saturday night down in McClellan, Florida in the 20s and the 30s was, you had a date with the radio to hear the Grand Ole Opry on WSM 650.
That's where I heard A-Cup and Ernest Tubb, you know, they were about the most popular one that was on right then on the Opry, you know. And I like their singing, you know.